when it comes to people who are looking at, leveling up their game, playing the game that they're involved in better. So, you want to become better as a real estate investor. Well, it might be that the things that are slowing you down are in the personal growth section. And people who are improving themselves and who are looking at getting better at, how they play a specific game. I know I'm a bit boring with my sports analogies, but I could talk about what happens on the court and what happens off the court. And if you're trying to play better on the court, what you do off the court is going to have a huge impact on your capacity to play, the level of presence with which you're able to play the game. And so sometimes the things that are holding you back are like personal growth questions. And I think that's something that, first of all, we're planning on addressing in the different masterminds. And the power of being surrounded by other people who are really on a mission to grow personally is amazing.
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Quebec. And today it is an honor and always a pleasure to have my dear friend Terrie Schauer, who you've seen on the show many times before, back on for a fun episode. So hi, Terrie, how are you?
Hey, Axel, this is a fun thing. We get to
Yeah,
talk to each other again on air.
exactly. So we'll get into a little bit of the details, but before we do, I just want to remind everyone, thank you for sharing this episode with a friend who could benefit from this conversation. You know people around you who are looking to start investing in real estate or looking to scale, and this podcast has been dedicated exactly to them. So share it with them, send it to them, leave us some feedback, some questions. We're in the midst of preparing all of our 2024 bookings. So if you have any questions you want, let me know, and I will get some experts on the show to answer them. So, Terrie, before we start sharing what we have today, I just want to go give a little bit of background because I've moved into your office basically about a year and a half ago, and it's been a really, really good journey in for a number of things. And one of them is that, well, we get to hang out, we get to ask each other questions and give each other feedback, and that's been absolutely priceless. And I just want to say it on air that I'm extremely grateful that you welcomed me into your office the way you did.
Aw. Well, I assure you, Axel, it's the benefits have been completely mutual. And, it was with a bit of a selfish intent that I invited you to come and join the office, spend some time here in the office space. And, I think that's something we want to get into a little bit in the show is the power of that network, the power of accountability, the power of being surrounded by people on a regular basis who help us move forward, because otherwise this real estate journey can be something that's quite lonely.
And daunting and scary. And when you don't have people around you, it's it can be very I was going to say dismotivating, but we'll stay positive. So we've both benefited from each other in many different ways. And throughout time, I'm going to burst the bubble and open it to everyone, is that we've decided to actually start the mastermind because there's been a number of people that have said, hey, I'd like to come to the office. Hey, how can we spend some time together? Because you guys have created a really good little nucleus of knowledge, of accountability. And now there's more and more people that have asked us to get into it. So do you want to share a little bit about the background?
Yeah, sure. So, we're looking at what can we do in 2024 to help our community, help the people that we are meeting on a regular basis get better at real estate investing. And, what we've become aware of is that there are sort of two different needs depending on where people are in their journey. And one of the things that we wanted to create was a mastermind, and a mastermind that is specifically going to give people that support, the accountability, the ability to have a group of people around you who you can share your trials and tribulations in your real estate journey, so that you're not going to have to talk to your brother-in-law, whoever's going to be sitting around your holiday table and doesn't have a clue about real estate but has all kinds of opinions. Like, we want to help you get out of that cycle where maybe the people around you don't necessarily know what they're talking about, but because you don't have anyone else to talk to, you're sharing your projects with them, and then the feedback you're getting is not super constructive feedback. So I think that's part of the reason why we wanted to start a mastermind to help our community and help our different audiences move to the next level of the game of wherever they are.
Yeah, and you bring a really good point. Like we all know that there are some naysayers about real estate investing, and it's usually people who haven't done anything who've been tenants for the first part of their life, and maybe still up to that point. And you need to surround with people that I like to say are just a little bit further in the spiral of development into the real estate learning. And this is what we're offering. I mean, neither Terry and I are billionaires in real estate, but we have quite a few transactions under our belt, and we know we can help you regardless of the level that you're at, because it's extremely beneficial to get a different perspective on what you're doing on your business, because we have the tendency to be like horses and keep the vision this big. But when you have a bigger group that asks other types of questions, then you're propelled to a different level, because as Terry said, you have that accountability. When we say, hey, a week from now or 2 weeks from now, I'm going to ask you if you did this, well, you're going to be motivated to do it even more. And then
Mhm.
there's another point about the community that is definitely worth mentioning is both you and I on weekly basis, we get calls, we get emails about, hey, do you know so and so? Do you know? Could you recommend me a broker? Could you recommend me a mortgage specialist? Can you recommend? And so industry experts and the network that we're opening.
Yeah, absolutely. But so, Axel, I think for let's just be super intentional about telling people what we're doing. So first of all, what's a mastermind and why are like what is it going to look like? Concretely, what exactly are we doing with this?
Okay, so we're very selective in who we want to come in. We only want highly motivated people with capacities. So a mastermind is a group. Right now, we've targeted about a group of 10 people that we're going to be meeting with on bi-weekly basis, that we're going to be going through a little bit of content and a lot of conversation to pinpoint everybody's strengths and weaknesses to help them grow and give them the appropriate tools through various means for them to, we're not going to make them grow. We're going to enable them to unleash their potential. And that's really what it comes down to in terms of a mastermind.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is biweekly call, a group of about 10 people. And you want to tell me a little bit about level because one of the things that we have so many off-camera conversations, we really can't update you guys all on everything that happens in this office when you're not here. But one of the things that we've noticed is that the needs of investors that we speak with or aspiring investors we speak with is they tend to fall into different levels. So is this like a one size fits all group, or what are we doing in the way of addressing people's needs depending on where they are in the journey?
That's a really good point, and you're absolutely right that we've really been able to pinpoint kind of two different groups of needs. So the first one is more, I was going to say, of the entry level. The I'm getting started. I'm looking to buy my first triplex or sixplex, or maybe I've just bought it and I'm in the process of systematizing. I'm just stabilizing the transaction, and that's really the first group of people who are getting started. The second one is for those who we're calling it GoPro, is they've already done a few transactions. They're in the process of scaling, but they might be hurting a few hurdles, and yet they have a little bit more experience. They're already generating a little bit more cash flow, and they have a different setting. So we've really decided to separate into two groups so that each member is really with peers at his own level, so all those people can grow together, because there's nothing more frustrating than being very advanced and still having some very basic questions and you're like, go get educated. So this doesn't happen. And to maximize the benefit and the learning of each member, we've decided to separate it into two, because those two groups have different needs and different priorities. Some, it might just be like, how do I even finance a triplex? Where those a little bit more advanced is, hey, I'm working on a 24 unit deal. I need more tips and tricks on how to find partners and raise capital. And those different needs and expectations need to be addressed in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to map out super clearly for the people in the audience, the two groups of people that we see is people who are what we call like, amateur hour, right? So you got one condo and you're like, okay, I know I want to do more real estate, but I don't know what next steps I can take. Or, I have this money saved up and I want to make my first acquisition, but where do I start? And so we're looking at the first level mastermind, which is called GoPro, of moving people from that level of amateur part time landlord to professional part-time landlord. So who is in this? It's like usually people who have a day job or who are doing something else, but they want to go from that like level of dabbling in real estate to somebody who's like a sharp professional small-time landlord. And so the goal with that people is to really with that group is to, really help you understand financing properly, help you understand the acquisitions process, and to help you create that winning network, because part of it is about peers. Part of it is about the contacts that we use. So, very transparently, join the group. You're going to get access to the different professionals that Axel and I work to, and that the other people in the group work with. And so that becomes just such a productive, prosperity generating network. So that's kind of the first level. And then the more elite group, which we're going to call the elite mastermind, is for people who want to go from already professional small time landlords to the state where you can quit the day job and become a professional full-time landlord who plays with the top investors in Quebec, and to really create a group that's going to help people go from that small time professional level to full time. This is what I do and I want to be really good at it.
And to help them scale, because
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
on the level, everybody has a different hurdle, and for some people that hurdle is buying the first triplex, and the other one is going from 100 to 120 units because there's a different set of constraints. So regardless of the level that you're at, we will make sure that you get in the appropriate group to make sure that you get the exact support and knowledge that you need. And there's another point also that we haven't shared about, is that we like to call it the accelerated learning. We all go through a different process to intake that information and to apply it. Is just that when we get 10 people together and you get led by people like Terrie and I, we will make sure that we get straight to the point, so you don't have to make all the mistakes in order to be able to learn, because guess what? Other people's have made them before you, and you can benefit from their learning. So the accelerated part of I was going to say the information intake and the learning really makes a big difference, because then we're going to be able to give you a much more accurate roadmap in terms of here where you are, here where you want to be, here are the steps that you should follow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, if I think of something that kind of matches with that, I want to talk a little bit about personal growth, because, again, we can't encapsulate all the off-camera conversations that happen in this office, but when it comes to people who are looking at, leveling up their game, playing the game that they're involved in better. So, you want to become better as a real estate investor. Well, it might be that the things that are slowing you down are in the personal growth section. And people who are improving themselves and who are looking at getting better at, how they play a specific game. I know I'm a bit boring with my sports analogies, but I could talk about what happens on the court and what happens off the court. And if you're trying to play better on the court, what you do off the court is going to have a huge impact on your capacity to play, the level of presence with which you're able to play the game. And so sometimes the things that are holding you back are like personal growth questions. And I think that's something that, first of all, we're planning on addressing in the different masterminds. And the power of being surrounded by other people who are really on a mission to grow personally is amazing. Because again, when we go home, when we, get off the court, so to speak, it's not like everybody who's around us all the time is on this mission to become a better person and to grow, psychologically, emotionally, in everything that makes you able to perform really well as an investor. And being surrounded by other people um, who have that accountability and who are on the same mission is an incredibly powerful thing. And I know, selfishly, personally, I'm definitely looking forward to having biweekly calls with people who are also on that mission, because it's just so important to be around other people who have that positive, aspiration in their life to just play better, whether it's real estate or in life.
Yeah, and you bring up a very good point in that. Thank you. Is that when it comes to the personal development part, we always hear like, oh, real estate investing is actually like 80% mindset and 20% technical. And I know that in this office, the word mindset has a special connotation. We'll be able to share that with everybody who joins, and why. It's just that at the beginning, when you're a starter, it seems like, oh, but I don't know how to finance. I don't know how to manage property. I don't know the market and stuff. So it looks like that knowledge is really the bulk and the majority. But as you learn all those technical aspects, you realize that it becomes actually a much smaller portion. And the bigger portion that has an impact on your success is really your mindset, your vision, your tenacity, and how you go about it. And that's something that we're making very important to share it with those who are joining, is really to be working on your head and your mindset.
Well, again, let's not get hung up on the word mindset. That's not a
No,
word that I really love. I would prefer to say mindful. But definitely, how you show up, right?
yeah,
And that doesn't have to do with understanding financing or being able to write the perfect offer. It has to do with mentally, emotionally, what are you bringing to how you play, in terms of a personal growth thing. And then there's also the network, because again, I think people get hung up on technical knowledge and the unknown unknowns, that like when you are trying to level up, you're going to be doing stuff that's making you uncomfortable because you're now playing in an area where you don't have experience. So that's just a fear inducing situation that you have to deal with. But what's going to make you equip you to move there? What is it? It's mentally what you're bringing to the table, and it's your network in terms of when you don't know the answer, who am I going to call?
exactly.
And like we're always like joking with Excel, like this is my phone is the tool that I love to hate. But what my phone actually does is it opens my knowledge onto the network of everybody. And the hive mind of what Terry is able to do is really the number of people who are one phone call away, that when I don't know the answer, I can pick up the phone and get it within 2 minutes. So that even when I'm out of my depth, well, I just have that lifeline, lifesaver that I can grab onto, because I can immediately talk to someone who does have the answer for me. And
Yeah.
like really, if one had to encapsulate like what makes you play at a great level, it's mentally what you bring to the table, what's your network, and then of course the knowledge, to help you do whatever it is that you're trying to do. But like that's what you get out of a network. That's what you get out of a mastermind, is
Mhm.
bringing those three things to a level that you're able to just perform better at what you want to do.
And you raised it. The strategic networking is absolutely key, because we don't know everything, and that's okay. But as you said, we have a fabulous tool that helps us to call people and send them messages. And all we need to do is know someone that knows the answer, and then we can connect with them. And that's one thing that we're going to be doing in the mastermind, and really identifying kind of who knows who and who knows what, and then aligning the strength and weaknesses. So, hey, if you need to know about this topic, call so and so, because we're going to save you time. And we all know time is money. And that also leads us to another aspect of like the market intelligence. Now, in those conversations that are off the air, what you may not know is that Terry and I both like to read The Economist. And we do so because it's actually extremely instructive. We learn stuff, and we both like the macroeconomics because it helps us understand what's happening in the more granular level of real estate investing, whether it's macroeconomic data, unemployment, interest rates, how it all works. And those conversations are absolutely key to understand what's happening now, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years from now. But some people aren't really in tune with this. And that's really one aspect that we want to bring to you, is what we like to call the market intelligence and what's going on. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing is what's everybody reading, right? And like the more you plug into the hive mind, we only have so much bandwidth. And so like I have my specific media sources, my podcasts, the publications that I read, which go with my interests. So, like I'm often up to date on what's happening with rental markets, what's happening with vacancy rates, because, as a property manager, that's something that's of great interest to me. Now Axel, who is more like in the kind of construction development space, will read different publications and will have different anecdotal evidence, right? Because like by the time some of those articles come out, I can already tell you what's going on in the rental market anecdotally based on what's happening with how our listings on Facebook Marketplace are performing, right? So like I will have a feel for what's going on, and us behind our closed door conversations, that's the subject of, oh, okay, like what's your feeling about what's going on in the construction space? Like what are you seeing, and those conversations of anecdotal evidence are like extremely useful. And the more conversations like that you have of people who are in different spheres of the industry, the better your intel is going to be of which way the wind is blowing. So, that in terms of gaining insider information, it's the experience of other people who are active in the space anecdotally. And then it's their intelligence gathering facilities. So the podcasts they listen to, the articles they read, because everybody is going to be consuming that information in a slightly different way, to be able to have, a lunchtime discussion with a bunch of other people who it just magnifies the ability that you're going to have to understand things, because you're not going to have to do all that reading yourself. Everybody's going to have their, like, a book club, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I discovered in the last week. Let me give you a redux of like 1 minute. Okay, what's going on with the vacancy right now? You don't have to read all that different stuff. But if you're not having those conversations, you're cutting yourself off from that market intel that's really going to help you make those decisions in a cutting edge way ahead of the other people, who might not be as well informed as you are.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because all those different data points help us establish our roadmap. Where do we want to go with this? And so that really also helps in the accountability and goal setting aspect, where we can't do everything and we need to be clear about our direction, our course, and the speed at which we want to go there. And the best way to do so is to be surrounded by people who have already done it, again, who are a little bit further in the spiral of development, in order to be able to set clear goals and have the accountability to explain, what have you done, what have you not done, why haven't you not done it, and how can we help you. And that's something that we will absolutely do in the mastermind when you join us.
Mhm.
Now, one of the last things, Terrie, and I know you need to we need to wrap up with this, but is the access to industry experts. Sometimes when we talk, and when, as you say, we go through our phone, we're like, who are we going to call for this? I'm actually quite astonished about the network that we've built in terms of experts in their domain. And we will be bringing some of these people on because they have so much information to share. And that's different than the market intelligence, because you get to ask direct questions.
Mhm. And I think also, like, when we're talking about, the hive mind, right? Because, like, one aspect of having a great peer group is accountability. Like, for sure, when, like, I'm having, conversations with other top performers around me, and they're like, okay, look, this is what I did in the last week. I'm like, oh crap. Like, I need to, like, up the level of my game, because look how somebody else is playing. But, the other aspect is this, like, hive mind, which is, us in the industry, there are only a certain number of problems. Depending on which corner you act in, there are going to be different problems, but, like, there's not 1,000 different permutations of this thing. There's maybe 20. And when you talk to other people who are solving those problems, market leaders, industry experts, they will have encountered your problem before you, and they will have, either they solved it in a way that was creative and insightful, or they know someone who solved it in a way that's creative and insightful. And the power of those conversations, of the type that you would have in a mastermind, is exactly that, is you're using the hive mind to help you understand and help you make sound decisions, based on what are the best practices that exist right now. Because since things are so volatile and they're moving so quickly, a good decision a year ago is not a good decision today, right? And so, like,
Mhm.
in order to stay up to date with that, you the more you talk to cutting edge people, the better is going to be the quality of your decision making.
Absolutely, and that's a very good point. And in order to move forward, I'll just also want to share with those who might be interested that there is an application program, and I'd like to take a minute just to go over it. Is that, as we said at the very beginning, our key criteria in this is going to be the quality. We want individuals who are motivated, who take action, and who are go-getters. In order to identify those, we need to have a thorough application process. So the first thing we're going to have you do is fill up an application form with questions. Please take the time to go through it. The more you explain, the more you share with us, the better idea we're going to be able to have of your motivation and whether you could be a fit for this program. Once you've completed this, we will have a phone interview with you to kind of go over some of those points that you've made and maybe some additional questions. And following that, Terrie and I together will be making a decision whether we can join, whether we think that you're a fit for this program, and we feel, most importantly, that we can help you and that you can contribute to the community, because that's really what it's about. This is not a one-way street. And if you just expect to come in, go on mute, and not contribute for the whole time period, this program is not for you. And let's just be upfront about it.
Yeah,
Do you have
cameras
anything
on.
else to add, Terrie?
Definitely cameras on.
Definitely cameras on. And we will also get together in person sometime. And it's not like you're going to come, covering your face in a black box. So it's about the community. And just like everything else, the more you put into it, the more you get back. So you have to make that choice and commitment.
Absolutely. So, Axel, maybe let's just to close the circle on that. Why don't you tell people where they can find this application process? How do they Yes, I want to join the mastermind. What's my next step?
Okay, so the next step, that's a very good point. What we're going to do is when this podcast gets released, in the newsletter, there will be a link on click here for the application form. You can go and get the necessary documentation. It's an online form. You can just sit down and fill it up, and we'll go from there. And then there's a second place where you can find the information is you go to www.realestateeffect.ca on my website, and you go under mastermind, and you'll be able to find all the information there, the description and the access to the application form. And that's really the best way to go about it. So I hope to see you there. We are starting shortly. If you're interested, which I know you are, go fill up the form as quickly as possible, and we'll get in touch with you.
Absolutely. And for sure, Axel's going to go and drop all that stuff in the show notes. It's going to be in his newsletter. So you have no excuse.
Absolutely. Thank you for recapping that. So now that I will recap, all this information will be in the newsletter. Thank you, Terrie. And we will see you soon. We'll get in touch with you. Now, Terrie, you know how I love to have you on the show. We will do more of them in 2024. Thank you for coming on today. And for all those who are listening, hey, maybe you'd be interested in joining with a friend who you know who's been talking about investing in real estate for a long time, but who hasn't pulled the trigger yet. If he's motivated, that might be a place for him and her. So we hope to see you there. As usual, firstly, get educated, learn, learn, learn. Research your market, make some offers. Thank you, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.